All right, welcome back to Virtual School Assembly. Today our guest is Sean Bennett. Sean is a nationally recognized actor, media guest, author, keynote speaker, and television host. A member of SAG-AFTRA since 1998, he's worked with Whoopi Goldberg, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, Harrison Ford, Adam Sandler, Bobby Flay, Ron Howard, even a president of the United States. He's worked as an on-air host with MTV, Cablevision, Premier Radio Network, United Stations, Food Network, TLC, VH1. I could just keep going on and on. He's an author. He does keynote speaking. He's a really busy guy, and we're so excited to have him on our show today. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks so much. Oh, just stop talking about all my credit. I mean, really, it's so embarrassing. Really, stop it. No, actually, I wanted to share something because I know the high school students are watching this, and I wanted to share some of my experiences in high school, and hopefully it will inspire some people who are going through some tough times themselves. And if you're not, I just want to share a little bit of my own personal story. Now, with Corona, pretty much everybody's world and the entire world itself has been turned upside down. So it's a big time of change, and everybody knows change can be scary. Change can also be wonderful. So the experience that I want to share with you guys is from when I changed schools, and my situation went from awful to then awesome. Now, in middle school, I was a straight A student. I was also the class clown. I mean, I always loved movies and joking around and performing. I was in every talent show, debate, school play, you name it. I'd make everybody laugh, and I was actually one of the most popular kids in school. But after graduating middle school, I was assigned a whole new school district and a new high school, all new students. Everything did change overnight. From day one, I was the least popular kid in school. All the qualities that had once made me popular now made me the school freak. After every class, I was pushed, teased, and called names. I desperately wanted to fit in. I figured, well, who's the popular guys in school? The football players. So to fit in, I decided to join the football team. But the crazy thing is, I had never exercised before. I had never played sports in my life. I had no idea what I was signing up for. So for 2 hours in Florida's 90-degree heat, I was doing push-ups, I was running, I was doing sit-ups, I was being knocked down. And that just lasted until I just puked all over myself. So my attempt to fit in failed big time. Now, before, I used to love going to school. Now at my new school, I didn't even want to get out of bed. I wanted to give up. I felt scared. I felt powerless. I knew my single-parent mother. What could she do? She couldn't protect me at school. Also, I felt too ashamed and embarrassed to even tell her what was happening to me in school. So just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, the school's lead bully cornered me at a locker, and he just started punching my face. I was beaten so badly that I needed a surgery that summer to correct the damage that he had done. The school did nothing to help me. Now, at this point, after I had been beaten, I had 1 more month of school left, so I stayed there. I had also been cast as the lead in a school's play called Made to Order. And in this play, not only did I play the lead guy, but he also disguises himself as a female. Somehow, after all this teasing and even being beat up, I didn't quit the school play. Now, terrified, with a football for pretend breasts, I go out onto stage, expecting everybody to moan and to boo me off stage. But the craziest thing happened. They started to laugh. And then when the play was over, the lead quarterback came running after me. I expected the worst, and he told me that I did a terrific job. I was absolutely shocked. I mean, and it taught me a big lesson. It taught me that when you do what you love, you can impact anyone. Now, even with that said, I know I could not survive another year at that school. So all year long, when I would go home, I would pray and wish from the deepest part of my soul just for a way out. I had no idea where I could go, what I could do. And then one day I turned on the television and I saw that there was a brand new performing arts school. I looked it up. It turned out they were having auditions. So then I had my mom drive me to the auditions, and I was accepted into their drama department. Now, finally, I'd be around other kids who were like me. At my new school, I was no longer teased. I was also cast both in the first semester in the musical and their dramatic production. I lived 2 hours away from this new school, so between rehearsals and after school, I couldn't go home. I would wake up at 4 in the morning, and I'd be at school from 7 a.m. to 9 at night, getting home at 11 at night. However, with each day and each class doing what I loved, and then different audiences applauding. One emotional scar from the year before would be removed. My self-esteem was now finally returning. Now, these experiences taught me a lot. This is why I'm sharing it. When you have no choice but to find the answer, you will. Like math, every problem has a solution. I learned that no matter how bad things seem, you can make the change. No matter how mean people are to you, don't give up. In any situation, we can go from victim to the victor. Listen to your heart. This is who you are. Haters are gonna hate. All we can do is honor, accept, and love ourselves. No matter how bad things seem, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, nowadays, even social media can make us feel bad. You know, posts that everybody puts on are usually of them having an ideal, perfect life. It's not real. That is why studies show that the people who spend the most time online are the most depressed. Look, I was on a reality show, and let me tell you, it's not reality. It's an edited, modified version of reality. It is still television. I grew up ashamed of being poor and also being bullied. Now I know it is not our strengths that connect us to each other, but our vulnerabilities. It is not where you've been that counts, but where you are going. What do you love? That is who you are. I invite you to go for your dream, your love, your passions, and never take no for an answer. If you want it bad enough, you will find a way to make it happen. You can choose, even if in a bad situation, to go from being the victim to claiming your own victory.
That is a really cool message, Sean. And I love not that just that you were able to survive this experience, but that it's propelled you into some of the cool things that you're doing now, that, you know, that positive experience you had with theater and with drama has led to a career in the movie business, and being on reality TV and doing all those things. But I want to rewind a little bit back to that switching of schools. Not every kid's going to get bullied, but every kid at some point or another is going to find themselves in a new environment where they don't feel like they fit in, where they're struggling to find their place. What are some of the things that you did during that transition so you could keep moving forward? Because as that bullying started and stuff, the natural tendency is to curl up in a ball, you know, avoid people, avoid doing things, being engaged with different things, but you didn't do that. So why? What is it that helped you to move forward during that time?
Well, you know, what I kind of wanted to get across to everybody is, even in a high chair, I would imitate people on television. My parents say, I don't really remember doing it clearly. I was a little young. So even at the school I was being bullied, I still auditioned and got into that school play. And I think when you're doing something that you love, you're going to be okay. The real you is going to shine, whether you're great at math or you're great at sports or you're great in the arts. And I think that's what got me through, essentially. And that's what even got me into the new school, is that I knew my passion was performing and, you know, making people laugh, especially because I predominantly do hosting and comedy and, you know, now some motivational speaking. But just knowing yourself and what you love is going to make other people love you, because if you're happy, like, it's the same adage. If somebody's down and depressed, who wants to be around them? Nobody. But if you're in a good mood, you're happy, you're like, yeah, you know, people are going to want to be around you. Like, wow, either that person is crazy or they're a lot of fun. And I think I'm both.
Right. Now, we talk a lot about being your authentic self and pursuing your passions. But for some kids, they're reluctant to do that because maybe their authentic self isn't the thing that's cool at the time, or it's the thing that's accepted. It's not what the cool kids are doing. So what if your interests are in a niche area where no one else seems to share that interest? Should you still pursue it, or what should you do with that?
I definitely think you should. I mean, now, if for some reason you feel you aren't comfortable talking to one group about your interests, you can find other people who have your interests, and then you'll have a new group of friends. So you can have different friends for different reasons. You know, just like if you play sports, you may hang out with them after or not, or you may like, you know, some of the people in band with you or not, or in theater with you or not. It doesn't matter. You can have friends outside of your interests and in your interests.
Right. So awesome advice. Now, I want to move past high school into some of the things that you've been working on since then. Obviously, you've gone into performing and acting. You've worked with some big names. You've done some cool things. And you shared with me before this, and I love this, so I want the story about being in that commercial with Spike Lee and trying to get camera time. Can you just walk us through that?
Okay, so something I didn't know, I finally, after like trying, booked the lead in a commercial. And now if you're union and you book a commercial, every time it plays, you make money. So who doesn't like money? I do. So when I got to set, because the lead of the commercial was Charles Barkley and nobody was speaking. So there were like 5 of us, me and like, I believe it was 4 women, and then also Charles Barkley, and Spike Lee was directing the commercial. One of the women said, if we're edited out of the commercial, we don't get any of that extra money. We only get paid for the day. So when I found that out, and also one of Spike's assistant directors was super mean to me, he was terrible. So every time, like, it would try to show all the hot chicks like dancing, and I would just like jump in, just so that way I could make sure that I was like in that shot. And then the guy who didn't like me to begin with was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you hired me, I'm just being in the shot, and I kept doing it, and they were annoyed, but because they did hire me to be a lead, they couldn't stop me, and then I wound up making $20,000, so what?
That's awesome. And I like this story, one, just because it's funny, and I can't believe you did that, but 2, this is the real world, right? Sometimes you have to fight for what you already agreed to, and people will back out, and there'll be things that you think are set in stone and it turns out they're not, and you fought for it, and so I love the message here that it's okay to fight for the things that you deserve, and you deserve it because you earned it ahead of time, right? You already were cast in that role. It's not that the world owed you a favor, but you were getting what you'd already earned. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Now, you've done a lot of things in Hollywood. Do you have a favorite project that you've been on, or a favorite person that you've worked with?
Yeah, you know what I thought was super fun? It was all last minute. I was doing some green screen work, and they pulled me to be in a scene with Angelina Jolie in the movie Salt, just as like one of the guys who comes and grabs her. So they told me to do that. So I went ahead into the scene, and we all have like guns and everything, and we grab her, and I grabbed her, and then afterwards, because I really did do it, because they told me to, I was like, oh, so I looked at her, I was like, I'm so sorry if I grabbed you too hard, Angelina. And she was just like, I'm used to rougher. And then she had handcuffs on, and people were like, oh, we can get you the fur one. She's like, what makes you think I need fur? She was just like so sassy and so sweet. And then when the shoot was over, she looked at me, because they were shooting in New York and Washington. I think it mainly takes place in Washington, the movie. And she asked me, she's like, oh, are you coming with us to Washington? And I was like, no, but if you can make it happen. She did. She was just super approachable. And I mean, for being such a big megastar and a beautiful woman, she's just as beautiful, I think, on the inside. And just, she's funny. Who knew Angelina Jolie was funny?
Yeah, that's really cool. So you've done a lot in Hollywood, and you've been involved in a lot of different things, but you've also written this book about luxury deals. And I think part of it came through your experience.
I'm kidding.
No, go ahead and pop that up and tell us about it. Tell us.
Luxury Steals and Deals. I'm just totally kidding. So that's the book. Available on Amazon. Yeah.
So tell us about the book. A lot of kids want to write a book. Why did you decide to write a book, and what's it about?
Sure. The book came about, honestly, as an accident. It was an acting class I took that taught me one of the biggest deals about housing, because I don't know where all our viewers are from, but New York is one of the most expensive places to live. So getting a great deal on housing is one of the hardest things. And also because New York is so overpopulated, even to overpay to get a place can sometimes be difficult. So in this course, they mentioned something called 80-20 housing, where 80% of the building pays full price and 20% does not. I was like, I want to be on that percentile, especially that it's luxury buildings. So that means you have a doorman, an elevator. My building has like a roof deck that overlooks the entire city. So my rent goes for $4,600 a month. Ridiculous, but I only pay $800 a month. So that was one of the biggest deals. Then I started doing media for different automotive companies, and I would always be the one from signing up for all the benefit programs, etc., who would be moved to first class or who would get like a larger room or a suite. And my coworkers were like, how do you do this? So I told them. And then one coworker looked at me, and her name's Pega, and she said, you should write a book. And I was like, about what? And she's like, about all these deals. So due to her encouragement and a lifetime of just trying to find great items and with a limited budget, caviar dreams, I guess, on a beer bottle budget, I was able to get all these big ticket items for a fraction of the price.
Yeah, that's amazing. So in your book, we get kind of the secret sauce for how to get good deals on stuff. Sean, I love this part of your story and your message, because with the original message that you presented to us, being a victim and turning that into a positive, and now seeing, we talked about your commercial, and now we've talked about your book. In each of these situations, what has happened is you have taken action, put something out into the world to make it a better place, and you've personally benefited. Not only has the world benefited by you doing those things, but you've benefited as well. And I think that's such an important lesson for kids out there, is you're going to be the victim until you start taking action. And once you take action, the world improves. It's an awesome message.
Thank you. And I agree. I'd also like to share that it all begins as an idea, because most of the time, if you tell people like, oh, well, I live in this great apartment, they'd be like, oh, well, I can't do that, or that's not for me, or they might not even ask you how you did it, or if you said I got a great deal, they might be envious. But there's just so many ways. Once you know the question, there's different ways to get to your destination. There's not one road that gets you to your destination. There's a million of options.
Absolutely. And I think you're right on with that idea coming. Once you start thinking about it, you're going to see the different options that are available to you. Cool. Well, Sean, thank you so much for being on our show today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and feel your enthusiasm. If kids want to follow you or even connect with you in social media, is there a best place for them to find you online?
Sure. They can go to my personal website, which is seanpbennett.com, and there's widgets. So just go ahead and click it, and then we can like each other and be besties forever. What?
Perfect. Thanks for being on the show today, Sean.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.